Sometimes someone can seem very interested in you when it's convenient for them. They text when they're bored. They call when they're lonely. They show up when they want something. But when emotional responsibility enters the picture, they disappear. In moments like that, it can feel confusing. You may find yourself wondering whether the person cares about you at all, or whether you just imagine the connection in the first place. In this episode, we're exploring the difference between interest and investments, and why emotionally healthy love shows up with consistency, not convenience. I invite you to grab your favorite beverage and settle in with me as we talk about one of the most important relationship distinctions a woman can learn.
Becoming the magnificent me, empowered, strong, and gracefully, with poise and elegance, I can see I am who I was born to
be. Welcome to Becoming, Conversations in Elegance and Empowerment, a sanctuary for women who desire to live with purpose, grace, and quiet confidence. I'm Sinesa Lusinger, your host, author, and transformation guide. Gentlemen are welcome to listen in, but this space is intentionally crafted for the elegant woman becoming all she's meant to be. If this conversation resonates and you'd like focused private support, I invite you to explore private coaching. You can find more information anytime at becomingpublishing.com. Now, let's step into today's topic. Many people have experienced a relationship where someone seems deeply interested in them, at least part of the time. They might have been attentive in the beginning. They might have shared personal stories or expressed affection. They might even have talked about the future, but over time, something began to feel inconsistent. The attention only appeared when it suited the other person. They were present when things were easy, exciting, or emotionally rewarding for them, but when you needed clarity, consistency, or commitment, their presence became unpredictable. This pattern can be incredibly confusing, especially for thoughtful people who genuinely care about relationships. It was for me. I've experienced this scenario many times in my life. I'd meet someone new. I enjoyed texting with him. He'd make me laugh and smile big. We'd have a great first date, and I couldn't wait to get the next text or call. Then things would slow down. It took me a while to realize that I was just a convenience to him. I didn't expect to be a priority immediately. We had just met. We were still getting to know each other. But over time, I saw and heard from him less and less. If you've experienced this, you may start asking yourself questions like, did I misunderstand his intentions? Did something change? Did I do something wrong? Often the answer is much simpler than the questions. Some people are interested in connection when it's convenient for them, but they are not emotionally invested in building a relationship. Let me be very clear here. Most of the time, it has nothing at all to do with you. Some men are commitment phobes. Some are always looking for greener grass or a better deal. Some just have a bad case of ADHD or shiny object syndrome. In all these cases, there's nothing you can do. You can't be pleasing enough, loving enough, giving enough, or perfect enough to change this about another person. This is a red flag you should look for if you're a woman who is seeking a meaningful, long-lasting relationship or marriage. I go back to what I previously said. It takes time to know if someone's love is real. Quotes, the only way to know if you have true love is to see whether it stands the test of time. If you're just embarking on the marriage path, you'll know the level of your commitment to each other by the way you live out your lives together day by day, expressing your love in every possible way through respecting each other, encouraging each other, and serving each other minute by minute, hour by hour, wrote Bill Moreland in his book, Married for Life. You don't have to wait for marriage. You should be seeing at least inklings of these signs during the dating process. I invite you to stay with me, and I'll tell you next what the science has to say about this and how you can distinguish the difference between interest in investments. If this conversation is resonating and you recognize yourself in what we're discussing, I invite you to apply for private coaching. I work privately with a small number of women each season who are ready to rebuild confidence, strengthen emotional boundaries, and make clear decisions in life and love. This is structured, focused work, not surface motivation. If you're navigating heartbreak or life transitions and you want grounded private support, you can apply at becomingpublishing.com. I personally review every application. Interest in investment can look very similar in the early stages of a relationship. Interest might include compliments, attention, curiosity about you, moments of affection. Those things can feel meaningful, especially if you genuinely enjoy someone's company or if you haven't experienced consistent attention before. But here's where we need to take a pause and introduce some clarity, because interest is often driven by an emotion in the moment, while investment is driven by intention over time. In her book, Why We Love, The Nature and Chemistry of Romantic Love, Dr. Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist who has studied romantic love for decades, explained that early attraction is fueled by dopamine. That is the brain's reward chemical. It creates excitement, anticipation, even a sense of urgency. However, we can't confuse dopamine-driven attraction with long-term attachment. They're just not the same thing. That's where different biological systems come in. Research in neuroscience by Sue Carter, Larry Young, and Xuexin Wang has shown that bonding hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin are associated with trust, attachment, and long-term emotional connection. What all this really means is that interest can feel intense, but investment is what sustains connection. It's like the difference between investing in an expensive piece of clothing that you wear consistently for decades versus buying a truck full of poorly made clothes that tear apart after you wear them a couple of times. Research consistently shows that healthy relationships are built on consistent responsiveness, not emotional spikes. Dr. John Gottman, one of the leading relationship researchers, explained in his book, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work, that long-term relationship success is rooted in something very simple: turning toward each other consistently in small, everyday moments. Not grand gestures, not occasional intensity, consistency. So when we talk about investments, we're not talking about perfection. We're talking about patterns. Someone who is emotionally invested, communicates clearly, follows through, makes space for you in their life, shows up, especially when it requires effort. Here's something important to understand. Inconsistency is not confusion. Inconsistency is information. In behavioral psychology, this pattern is known as intermittent reinforcement, a concept introduced by B.F. Skinner, where inconsistent rewards actually strengthen emotional attachment and make behaviors harder to disengage from. This looks like what I described earlier that I experienced. You get just enough attention, just enough affection, just enough hope to keep you emotionally engaged, but not enough to feel secure. That's why these connections can feel so powerful and so hard to walk away from, because your nervous system is trying to solve the inconsistency. Here's the truth. Emotionally healthy love doesn't require you to solve it. It removes the questions and inconsistencies altogether. Interest seeks enjoyment. Investment seeks connection. This is why emotionally healthy love often feels calmer, not boring, but steady, consistent, clear. If something in this conversation is resonating with you, if you're starting to recognize a pattern, that awareness matters, because many women come to me when they're quietly asking themselves, why does this feel so good sometimes and so confusing the rest of the time? That's exactly what we begin to untangle inside the clarity resets. The Clarity Reset is a focused private coaching session that doesn't require an application, where we take a thoughtful look at what's happening in your life right now, your relationships, your patterns, and the decisions you may be facing. Together, we work toward clarity about your next step. If you feel ready to explore that process, you can schedule your session anytime at becomingpublishing.com. I know this topic may be a lot to process, especially if you're in the middle of desperately wanting a frog to turn into a prince. I invite you to stay with me, and next I'll give you some ideas on how you can navigate this situation. Many of the ideas we're exploring this season are expanded on in my newest book, Becoming Lavishly Loving, available on Spotify, my website, and most online booksellers. It explores intuition, emotional boundaries, and protecting your inner world with elegance. For women who are ready to apply this work in real time, not just understand it intellectually, I offer a private 3-month coaching container where we rebuild confidence and clarity from the inside out. You can learn more and apply at becomingpublishing.com. When a woman understands the difference between interest and investment, something powerful begins to shift. She stops evaluating relationships based on how she feels in the moment and starts observing what is actually happening over time. So let's bring this into practice, because awareness is beautiful, but embodiment is where your life changes. If you're currently in a situation where you feel confused, uncertain, or emotionally pulled, I invite you to gently step back and ask yourself these 3 questions. 1. What is the pattern, not the potential? Not what he could be, not what he said, not what you felt on the best day. What is the pattern of his behavior over time? It's imperative to remember that patterns always tell the truth. Number 2, do his actions create peace or anxiety? Emotionally healthy love does not keep you in a constant state of questioning. It doesn't make you analyze text. It does not make you wonder where you stand. It does not create strange sensations in your body that make you feel like you need to go to an emergency room. It creates a sense of emotional steadiness. If you feel anxious more often than you feel secure, that is not something to ignore. Number 3, is he making space for you or fitting you in? There is a difference. Someone who is interested just fits you in when it's convenient. Someone who is invested creates space for you in their time, their life, and their priorities. You can feel that difference. Now here's the deeper shift. When you begin asking these questions, you stop chasing clarity from him and you begin creating clarity for yourself. You stop trying to be chosen and you start choosing what is best for you and for your highest good. This is where you take back your power. Taking back your power looks like restoring peace to your inner kingdom. It's removing obstacles so that the right man can walk into your life. It's becoming Audrey Hepburn's princess character in the movie Roman Holiday and saying, you may withdraw in your own elegant, kind way. For me, that looked like me saying, I've enjoyed the time we've spent together, but I can see that we are not going in the same direction. I hope you find what you're looking for and that you get everything you deserve. What they heard was that I hope they got every great and wonderful thing in life. But what I was saying was that I hoped karma kicked in and they reaped all the hurt, anxiety, uncertainty, and confusion they had caused me and any other woman. This is the pattern of a royal, elegant woman. She does not chase. She does not stalk or obsess over a man. She does not seek revenge. She does not go into people-pleasing mode. She realizes her worth, focuses her attention on what is for her highest good and her goals, and makes room for blessings and the right man to come into her life. Hear me when I say this. An elegant, discerning woman does not build her life around inconsistent attention. She builds her life around aligned, intentional connection. She recognizes her value. She knows she is a treasure and an asset to the man in her life and no longer negotiates with confusion. Interest may create excitement, but investment builds a life. When you truly understand the difference, you stop abandoning yourself in the presence of potential and you begin honoring yourself through discernment. When you begin recognizing the difference, you also begin protecting your peace and your inner kingdom, because love that is real does not appear only when it is convenient. It shows up for the good, bad, ugly, and wonderful moments in life. And if you're an elegant woman who is invested, then you deserve to be treated like the exquisite jewel that you are. Thank you so much for spending time with me on Becoming Conversations in Elegance and Empowerment. If something in today's conversation spoke to you and deeper focused support feels right, I invite you to explore private coaching at becomingpublishing.com. Until next time, stay elegant, stay empowered.
Becoming the magnet.